Freshman year at UST hits different. You're entering one of the most elite academic environments in the Philippines, and your brain prompts you to search for advice on how to actually survive the transition without burning out. Sounds like you? Well, good thing this video is here to help. Let's tackle the exact components that take a confused freshman to later a student who has his life together, covering study systems, time management, and staying fit. But before everything, let me introduce myself. Hi, I'm Ray, and I'm currently a sophomore at the Ruanyo, also known as Engineering Building, and I'll help you paint a picture of surviving college life in UST, or wherever you may be enrolled, as the principles are still applicable. First of all, what makes the life of a college student? Everything is interconnected, from studying, managing your hobbies, fitness, finances, social life, and whatnot. To avoid overwhelm, the college student must find balance. The point isn't to throw away all the wondrous ideas you have about college life, but rather to identify what requires your utmost priority and what gives you an outlet to ease tension every now and then. A college student needs 4 pillars to coast through the entire journey without burning out or feeling a fear of missing out on anything. Numero 1, academics. Your core purpose and supposed top priority. Remember, you are here to learn and get the degree, but grinding 24/7 is one fast way to crash. The goal here isn't to study harder, but to study smarter to give yourself room to breathe. We'll dive into the exact study system that got me through my freshman year in a later chapter, but for now, remember that academics is your primary anchor. Everything else rotates around it. Next is fitness. The very first thing students usually sacrifice when exams come up is their health. Junk diet, puyat, energy drinks, trust me, your brain and body function better when they aren't running on empty and when they feed on actually healthy intake. Moreover, you need a physical release, whether that's hitting the gym, hoops, or running. Fitness isn't a distraction from your studies, but an energy source that allows you to push farther during your productivity sessions. Third, we have creative outlets. The biggest mistake one can make is to let their entire identity be consumed by their course syllabus. Syempre, kailangan mo rin ng makakapagbigay sa iyo ng pahinga at libang. Now, this is highly subjective. Everyone has different hobbies and interests. For me, that's reading books and making music. Find that one thing you do purely for the love of the craft and give your brain a chance to ease the academic tension. Finally, social outlets. This is where your community comes in, and a massive part of that revolves around organizations. The golden rule when it comes to orgs is quality over quantity, and choose an org that actually complements what you're looking for, whether it's a tight-knit community or an activity. Your org must not compromise your performance in academics. Remember, it serves as your social outlet. I highly recommend joining the local org in your college as it can provide some perks when your college week comes. Not to mention, the network of upperclassmen who can dish out some tips for surviving your college life. Build those 4 pillars and I can ensure your earliest semesters wouldn't be so bad. Ngayon, pag-usapan natin ang iyong goals. In college, you have to be very clear with yourself about your goals. Do not fall into the mindset of titingnan ko na lang mangyayari because the system will swallow you whole. Freshman year makes up 25% of your college performance, 1/4 of your whole stay. The problem I see with people just coasting through the academic year without clarity is that they are more likely to disappoint themselves when they encounter unsatisfactory outcomes. By nature, going through a rigorous challenge without defining a goal, on top of giving out just minimum effort, and being unhappy with the outcomes is a confusing, unlikable mix you'll be serving to yourself. You need not to ask yourself about every specific achievement or detail, but you need to create a far-defining picture of what you expect to achieve throughout the course of the year. People commonly joke that passing is enough. In a demanding academic environment, passing is indeed a victory, but if your baseline goal is just passing, you barely have a margin of safety. I would say it's better to give your best effort in every demand. Aim higher, target the dean's list perhaps, and if you fall slightly short of an exam, which may or may not happen just because life is so unpredictable, your safety net keeps you in the passing zone. If you have eyes on graduating with Latin honors, the work begins now. Every quiz, essay, or report matters. Latin honors are a compounded effort block by block, semester by semester, starting with your very first freshman term. To give you an idea, Latin honors require a total accumulated general weighted average of less than or equal to 1.750. Showing you the visuals. For cum laude, it's 1.451 to 1.750, which is also the base requirement to be qualified for the Dean's List at the end of each term. In FOE, the top 10 students of each distinct department are recognized by the end of each term formally on stage. And at the same time, Dean's Listers receive recognition via the FOE FB page. Again, to hit these goals, you need to be strict with yourself. You need to be precise and disciplined, treating academics as a challenge both in speed and endurance. Always practice, keep pushing in difficulty, and get acquainted with working under pressure. Now, how do you actually achieve those strict goals while maintaining your fitness, orgs, hobbies, and most importantly, not losing your mind? It all comes down to a framework I call skeleton blocks. With the desire to make bulletproof preparations before or during the academic year, you might think of scheduling every single minute of your day. That is suboptimal and a big mistake. Writing hyper-specific itineraries and failing to meet a demand at some point will likely discourage you from continuing and result to you throwing the whole day away. Skeleton blocks are unshakable, fixed anchors in your day that form the bare bones of your schedule. Everything else fills in the gaps. Your skeleton blocks consist of wake times, sleep times, class hours, and study blocks. No matter the chaos of deadlines, these blocks are not intended to be moved. Parang class schedule lang din. If your study block is from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., that is a non-negotiable appointment with yourself, away from scrolling and all sorts of distractions. Now, let's confront the ever-popular myth of pulling all-nighters for exams. It is not a badge of honor and translates to bad time management. To put things simply, sacrificing sleep is borrowing energy from the next day at an interest. Your brain restores its energy output and consolidates information while you sleep. Ako mismo, napapansin ko na nahihirapan ako mag-process ng problem sets kinakabukasan kapag kulang ako sa tulog. To manage this, get a hold of these two things. Protect your sleep. Aim for a consistent sleep and wake schedule to lock in your circadian rhythm. It is very vital that you go to bed and wake up at a consistent time for optimal daily performance. The power of napping. By the time you get home, you can opt for a 20-minute nap to reset your cognitive function for your afternoon agendas. A longer 90-minute nap works but is usually reserved for more demanding days, such as when dealing with fatigue. Don't be paralyzed by the what would seem like bottomless amount of lab reports, prob sets, and presentations. As long as you map your skeleton blocks first, you will see exactly how many free blocks you have left. Then, you can slot your non-academic stuff like your creative and social outlets into those empty spaces. As soon as you've been assigned a deadline, the best time to tackle that task is at the earliest convenient time for you. That way, you ensure that you don't break your sleep block. If you want to excel in a high-level environment like UST, you might have to overhaul the way you learn. If you notice yourself partaking in these habits, bury them from now on to survive college. Passive reading or rereading. Stop spending hours rereading a textbook chapter or highlighting a PDF just for the sake of it. It makes you feel productive, but your brain is on autopilot, working without active effort to retain information. Cramming. Do not delay absorption of a semester's worth of course material the day before an exam. Information needs time to process and cannot be force-fed into your brain in a single long session. To do it right, you need to look at studying through 3 areas: deliverables, literacy, and competence. For deliverables, this is the baseline. Basically, lahat ng inisinasubmit mo, lab reps, prob sets, and presentations. Don't treat deliverables as an annoying chore to finish, but as your introduction or supplementary resource to the material. Be sure to do it manually, yet also thoroughly. Second, literacy. This is where the bulk of studying occurs. You understand the why behind the formulas. Wag mo simpleng i-memorize lang, but also understand what they represent and how the system works. Though I must say, memorization is the first step to retention. So kahit papano, give the effort to actually remember things. One hallmark of literacy can be the ability to explain a concept to a peer without looking at your notes. The end goal here is to be literate in what you're studying. Third, competence. This is the culmination. You test yourself on problem solving under time pressure, as well as the ability to look at new problem statements and execute the steps with precision. Reviewing falls under competence. Again, we have to emphasize the importance of active repetition. It's far more effective to get better doing the reps yourself than watching someone else do them. Take past sample exams, textbook problems, and examples by professors, then solve them from scratch. If the problem is hard and you feel it in your brain, that means it's working. That friction you feel is your brain forming the neural pathways required for the exam. Build the muscle memory to excel. Finally, your environment dictates your focus. It would be difficult for your attention to study in a chaotic environment or in a bed that your brain associates with sleep. You can set up a dedicated distraction-free environment at home, or you can utilize public spaces like libraries for deep work. And when you step into that space, your brain should immediately recognize that you have to lock in. If you want me to make a video ranking the best study environments, you might want to like this video and subscribe to my channel, as well as comment for content suggestions. Now that the new school year is coming close, let's discuss the essential baggage of a college student. When it comes to purchasing school essentials, the philosophy must be buy it for life. Investing in high-quality, durable tools that are built to last your entire college stay allows for a secure and heightened learning experience than what cheap disposable items would offer. Now, hindi ko na isa-isahin yung mga items, pero more or less, ganito magiging itsura ng checklist. Backpack, your most important daily driver. Look for one with waterproofing and a good number of compartments. Kailangan kakasya lahat ng tech mo like laptop or tablet, tools, and a few stationaries. Tsaka, you might want to allot space for extra clothing or outerwear in case you need it for PE, lab, or warmers if lamigin ka sa aircon. Stationery. Don't buy the 24 packs of cheap plastic pens but invest in 1 or 2 high-quality ones that work well for you. I personally use the Pentel Energel RTX 0.5 kasi hindi siya masakit sa kamay. Tsaka maganda yung writing experience. I think having one good consistent pen will encourage you to write more notes due to the fact that it feels better to write with. Pair them with a B5 binder notebook for a light all-in-one carry for all subjects. Tech. You'd only need a laptop capable of running your course required software, for example AutoCAD, tablet to annotate PDFs and take notes, smartphone for everything, and noise-canceling headphones for focus and isolation. Now na alam mo na yung mga bibilhin, keep in mind not to overpack. Nakakapagod din ang daming dala, lalo na kapag commuter ka. Only bring what you need for next day's classes and digitalize what you can. Finally, let's tackle fitness. Don't view working out as a luxury only when you have free time. Your body goes along with your focus, memory, and energy levels. The biggest mistake you can make is falling into a sedentary lifestyle. You do not need to keep up with long workouts but only maintain consistency with it, even for only 30-minute sessions. If you're wondering about what to do, find a physical outlet that is convenient for you, the type that it would be very difficult for you to miss and would be available for you almost anytime. A few examples include gym. It builds a strong physical foundation and boosts your overall energy. Running. It's the most accessible for most people, and it has varying levels of intensity. Basketball. Dynamic and can serve as a social outlet. Then, you cannot be missing out on rest and nutrition. Huwag mo sanayin ang katawan sa fast food. Prioritize clean proteins, complex carbs, and being hydrated throughout the day. Then, aim to sleep for at least 7.5 hours and, if possible, allow for a 20-minute or 90-minute nap depending on energy levels. At the end of the day, it takes a lot more than just being an intellectual to survive and excel in college. You have to build a system, fix your lifestyle, integrate your skeleton blocks, and protect your physical health. If you have any content that you'd look forward to seeing, feel free to comment it below and I might just discuss it in my upcoming videos. Kaya mo to, Thomasian. See you around campus. Like, subscribe, and drop a comment below on what your big goal is for this upcoming school year.